Gentlemen, in this video I'd like to talk a little about the economic opportunities that a Thai ladyboy has in the Western world. Last Saturday night I was out and about in Soy Buakhao in Pattaya, and I had drinks with quite a few ladyboys. I wasn't in the mood for a sexual encounter that night. I just wanted to have a few drinks and get to know a few of the new ladyboys. So a ladyboy sits down with me, introduces herself and asks me where I'm from. I say Australia, and then she hits me with it. If you take me to Australia, I will give you 30% of everything I earn as an escort. It's not every day that Poindexter from the IT department receives an offer like this, and this offer wasn't made in a vacuum. You see, anytime a ladyboy makes it to the Western world and does well for herself, she gains a lot of respect and face amongst her ladyboy friends, and especially back home with her family and others in the village. Reports of newfound wealth spread quickly in Pattaya, and word on the street is that ladyboys who have made it to Australia have become rich and have managed to buy land and build houses back home in the village in Korat. There are reports of ladyboys making over 2 million Thai baht in cash, saving it and sending it home within a year or so of coming to Australia. 80,000 Australian dollars in cash is a lot of money in Thailand, especially for a ladyboy. The going rate for a short time experience in Pattaya with a ladyboy is between 1,000 to 2,500 baht, which is around 38 to 96 Australian dollars. Compare that figure to here in Australia, where they can earn at a minimum 8,000 baht, or a little over 300 Australian dollars an hour or higher for their services, and you can see why the demand is so high among the ladyboys to come to Australia to work. It's all about the money, gentlemen. So let's get back to that 30% of everything offer. Imagine if one ladyboy is able to see 5 clients a week or have 5 income opportunities. Then that's $1,500 a week in cash income, which translates to 78,000 Australian dollars a year. If I was to bring 3 ladyboys back here to Melbourne, shack up with them and put them to work as escorts, I could generate $4,500 a week, or $234,000 a year in sales. If I was to take a 30% cut, I would earn a little over $70,000. Simple business, easy to run. I could also get my sexual needs met by them as required, and rest assured, gentlemen, they would be more than willing to look after me, the great saviour who has taken them from what many consider is a shithole environment that they work in, to the land of milk and honey. Understand, we're talking about people who, if I bring them to the Western world, have the incredible opportunity to lift their entire families and themselves out of poverty. It's a win-win proposition for them. They have nothing to lose. If the Australian government catches them working illegally on a student or a tourist visa, they will deport them, of course. But they don't care. By that time, they've made their money and will go back to Thailand with a much higher standard of living. They will go back to Thailand and be treated with a much higher level of respect due to what they have managed to accomplish. The face they would gain among friends, family and the village would be incredible. What about me though? Yes, there's the opportunity for me to make a cool $70,000 in cash managing just 3 ladyboys. But of course, technically, this business would be illegal, as the ladyboys would be engaging in what is technically classed as work, even if the Australian government doesn't recognise it as work per se and offer a prostitution visa specifically for this purpose. The business would be illegal because the ladyboys would have to be brought in on a tourist or student visa, and the stipulation, of course, for these visas is no work is to be engaged in. One look at backpage.com for Melbourne transsexuals, however, and you can see there are plenty of ladyboys that are already here in Australia on student or tourist visas and are working as escorts for cash in hand. You know, people in Melbourne and Sydney complain a lot about immigrants coming here, increasing the prices of houses, choking up the roads, taking Australian jobs, etc. This complaining, of course, is because most working class or middle class Australians don't financially benefit from these immigrants. But what if they were directly benefiting financially? For after all, someone is benefiting, making money from all these immigrants to Australia. Mostly the upper classes who, let's be honest, shall we, use these immigrants as cheap, replaceable labour. Why shouldn't I be one of the people who directly benefits from immigration to this country? This is my country too. The country that most of these fuckwit politicians in power are selling out to others at my and other Australians' expense. Or at least that's what's being alleged. If I go down this path, I would essentially be living as an outlaw. The life of an outlaw, though, can be pretty damn great in Australia, because we essentially have prohibition in a number of key areas of demand, particularly drugs and weapons, which is why the criminal class has been able to become so wealthy. If I become an outlaw in the prostitution industry, a number of institutions would be looking to put me out of business. Let's name them here and talk about the reasons why, so we remember. Firstly, the local council in the area where I operate the business. Residents or neighbouring businesses would be complaining. The tax office, if I don't pay tax. Consumer Affairs Victoria, non-payment of brothel licensing fees. The legal system, lawyers, Australian Securities and Investment Commission, non-payment of company fees. The police, the upholders of the law of the land. The Australian Immigration and Border Protection Agency, having migrants work illegally in Australia, and the Victorian Commission for Gambling and Liquor Regulation for non-payment of liquor licensing fees. There's probably a whole host of other government departments and especially laws that I would be breaking if I go into an illegal business of this nature. Isn't it incredible? The simple act of sex for money being so highly regulated, controlled, and complicated, all due to the government, gentlemen. I've got more freedom in Thailand to run a business like this than in Australia. And we know who's in power in Thailand, right? My conclusions after much research, investigation, and reflection are: running a legal prostitution business in Australia is not the way to go because the costs are simply too high to start and to do business effectively and also make a profit. The costs are so high due to the government compliance and adherence to regulation. You want to talk about pimps? The Australian government is the ultimate pimp. They would make a ton of money off me, regardless of whether I made money or lost money in a legal brothel. Why do you think there are so many illegal brothels masquerading as massage centres popping up all over the place? Remember Suki Wu? Why would anyone try to start a legal brothel in this high compliance and technologically sophisticated environment? A ladyboy can simply put up a profile on Backpage and go directly to the client. What she can't do most of the time, however, is get into the country to begin with. And of course, that's where people like me potentially come in. It's not my fault that the law has failed to keep up with the technology, nor is it my fault that existing brothels are having problems competing due to the compliance costs of dealing with Big Brother. And if I started this illegal business, the government would be looking to nail me right to the wall. Who are the winners, though, if I do start this outlaw business? You, gentlemen, my potential clients, definitely you, and me, of course. Now, like most of you, I'm tired of Western women's behaviour. I'm definitely tired of much of my fellow Australians' behaviour. My thought process here is, to hell with you lot. I don't need to put up with your shit anymore. I'll bring in my own people, thank you very much. And look what kind of people I'm talking about. Professional ladyboy prostitutes. My fellow Australians won't know what hit them, especially in this politically correct Western world environment where these types of people are so very rare, exotic and valuable, and can provide you with an incredible experience you will remember for a very long time. We Farangs may be the ATMs in Thailand, but the beautiful Thais could be the ultimate ATMs on our turf in this environment, for us Farangs, for our benefit. The image on the screen is the price differentials between Melbourne and Pattaya. As you can see, consumer prices in Pattaya are 45% cheaper than in Melbourne. Rent is almost 63% cheaper. Restaurants, 67% cheaper. And supermarket prices are 38% cheaper. And the big one, the local purchasing power in Pattaya, Thailand is 80% lower than in Melbourne, Australia. 80% lower. Let me show you a few properties for sale in Korat. Here's one for 650,000 baht, or 25,000 Australian dollars. And another for 1.1 million baht, or around 42,000 Australian dollars. Earning much more money in Australia and sending it back to Thailand is a fantastic, life-changing opportunity for these Thai ladyboys. Imagine if you had the opportunity to buy a house in the Western world where you're from every year simply by moving to another place to take advantage of the much higher wages. Many of us would take that golden opportunity.
Give me guys that are poor, smart, and hungry, and no feelings.
Poor, smart, hungry. These are the people that would be working for me. The people who would be in my service, working for my benefit, as well as their own. And what about you, my potential paying clients? What are you? I'll tell you what you are, gentlemen. You're rich, smart, and hungry. But you're hungry for different reasons. When we talk about your hunger, we're not talking about emptiness of stomach or emptiness of purse or wallet, like the Ladyboys of Thailand. We're talking about a hunger caused by a completely different beast, the way women are, institutionalized feminism, lack of sexual opportunities with beautiful people, crappy treatment in bars and nightclubs in the egalitarian Western world. You know, where men and women are equals. I could go on, but you know the score, gentlemen. You've felt it and experienced it your whole life.
Let me tell you why you're here. You're here because you know something. What you know you can't explain, but you feel it. You felt it your entire life. That there's something wrong with the world. You don't know what it is, but it's there, like a splinter in your mind, driving you mad. It is this feeling that has brought you to me. Do you know what I'm talking about?
And you know full well the only viable option is paid sex. I don't need to remind you of what your alternative options are on Tinder. This Christmas, I'm bringing a ladyboy friend of mine over to Australia. I managed to secure a visa for her. She won't be working, but rest assured I'll be hanging out with her, being seen around town, monitoring the situation carefully, watching, gauging the level of interest in her from my fellow Australians, seeing how she goes in the Western world environment, seeing and gauging the demand for her services. I consider this as a first step in what could be a great future business opportunity. I'll leave you today with a channel recommendation. I want you to all check out Josie the Outlaw. Think about what she has to say. Reflect on it. I think she has a lot of great points. If it's really her who came up with everything on her channel, then kudos to her. She's one of the smartest women out there, and she has my respect. The link to her channel is in the description in this video. Until next time, gentlemen, all the best. I'm the Pretender.